Welcome to the Run Your Day podcast, a show dedicated to helping you expand your capacity, take your life in every area to an entirely new level, and creating a day and a life by design. Here's your host, Dan Hafner. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Run Your Day podcast. As always, your host, Dan Hafner here. Today's topic is this: upside down and turned around. As always, I appreciate you all joining. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show. All right, my friends. So, if you're listening to the show chronologically, I haven't put an episode out there in a little while. Yet again, had a couple week hiatus there since our last episode. And honestly, if you guys have listened to a few of the previous month's episodes, past 20 or so, you probably are familiar with the fact that I was moving from West Virginia up to Pennsylvania. And we've now been here about a month back up in PA, up here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and we love it. But honestly, that was kind of one of the reasons I was fearful this would happen, but it was kind of one of the reasons I wasn't able to, or at least I had a story around why I wasn't able to get podcast episodes out regularly, right? And kind of what this has to do with today's topic, this upside down and turned around, is the fact that my life kind of has been turned upside down and backwards turned around, right? Not only is moving to a new location an incredibly stressful thing, an incredibly life-changing thing, right? Like, my life is completely different than what it was 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago, right? And just adjusting to the new patterns in the environment and the way to do things and our new commutes and our new just behaviors of how and where we are and what we need to do, and just overall being in a new environment creates new patterns and behaviors, right? And I've noticed this with my wife and I as we've just kind of gotten settled into new routines and patterns and location and just everything, and it's it messes with you, right? And not in a bad way usually, or it can be a good and a bad way, but what I've noticed is that it's you carry with you a lot of your old patterns and behaviors. It just because you move doesn't mean you change who you are, or you change, how you sleep at night, or how you wake up in the morning, or how you put your pants on, or like any of that stuff, right? Like a lot of who you are, stays the same. And I know this because I've moved, let me think here, 1, 2, 3, 4 times now in the past like 8 years, I think it has been. So I know a little bit about this, right? And I think you do change as a person overall, like as the years go by, but just because you move to a new environment doesn't mean that you change who you're being like that, right? It comes with self-reflection, with inflection and just changing the way your habits and behaviors go. But just because you change a new environment doesn't change who you are. Now, what it does change is how you react to it, how you go about certain things, and how you kind of think and surround yourself with certain things, right? So, for example, you live somewhere and you get used to, like, I have a daily commute to work that is this way at this time every single day. You just get used to it, right? And I know what to expect. I know where the traffic spots are. I know where I got to shift lanes. And if I'm at this point on the highway by this time, I need to really move over, and like the length of the traffic lights, all these different things. You kind of fall into this pattern and groove of almost like a comfortability. Is that a word? Of comfort with what your routines and your patterns and your behaviors are, right? Now all of a sudden you get thrown into a new environment, and your brain starts thinking, well, are we gonna have enough time to get there? Like, where do I go? How do I get there? What do I need to do? This is all gonna be brand new. Like, it's scary, right? And it's not that the thing is actually scary. It's that your brain has never experienced it before, and it's kind of panicking because it doesn't know what to expect, right? If you ever notice, notice this next time. Like you're in a situation that you've never been in before, or you're at a place you've never been to before, a restaurant. I know a lot of restaurants are still closed, but when you're just in a new situation or a new place or a new whatever, somebody's new house that you've never been into, you start to notice that your brain kind of reacts in a way that's it's maybe not fearful, but it doesn't know what to expect, right? And it's exciting, and yet it's anxiety inducing at some level, right? I think, at least for me, it can be a little bit anxiety inducing when I don't know what to expect, when I don't know what's happening, when I don't know how I'm going to react to certain situations. And that's a personal thing when it comes to me, but maybe you're like that too. Maybe you find yourself being a little bit anxious when you have to do something you've never done at work before, or you have to go somewhere you wanted to go before, but you never have. Like, you go on vacation. Like, vacation to me is anxiety inducing. Like, when we went to Jamaica a couple years ago, like, honestly, it was a little bit anxiety inducing because I had never been that far away from home before. I had never been to really anywhere before like that. And it was just all so different, so many different stimuli coming at me, but I was the same person there, right? Like, I didn't just become a whole different person because I was there. Like, you carry these certain things with you. You carry who you are, you carry who you're being, what you believe, who you are, what you say, how you act, how you carry yourself. But you can also be influenced by the certain environmental factors around you. You know what I mean? So I guess what I'm trying to say overall inside of this topic today, and why I wanted to come on here and title this, Upside Down and Turned Around, is how are you being mindful, or are you even being mindful of how you're reacting in new situations? Right? It's almost, you have to kind of get to a way more aware place, a place of higher awareness, to be able to even realize that you're in one of these situations, which takes practice. And it's honestly a skill that, I've kind of developed because I've been in so many of these different situations in my life. But, where, I guess not where, but, how are you handling, how do you personally handle new situations, new environments? Do you panic? Do you get anxious? Do you get excited? Do you freeze? Do you, is there that adrenaline there? How do you notice how you show up? Do you notice if you show up? And there's nothing wrong if you don't. It's just something to think about, and a little bit of food for thought for you today as you go about your day. But what I find is that it's, as your brain creates that memory, and I'm no psychologist, but as your brain creates that new memory, it's both an exciting and an anxiety inducing thing. And then that's just part of life. That's one of the coolest things about life, is that if you experience the same thing every day, it starts to get boring, it starts to get stale, it starts to get old, and there's really no zest inside of life anymore. But when you start to do different things that even scare you a little bit, that challenge you, that push you, that kind of give you that feeling in your gut of like, oh man, am I going to be able to pull this off? I don't know. Like, that's one of life's little secrets right there. Like, that feeling of anxiety, and not like stressful, terrible anxiety, but that feeling of like, oh man, like, ooh, like you get nervous in your back, and you maybe start to sweat a little bit. Like, that's good anxiety, because that's pushing you, that's challenging you to become more. That's you overcoming something mentally, overcoming being more mentally tough, and figuring something out about yourself and your life. So be more aware of when you're in a new situation and how you're handling it, and see where that takes you. Just see where that takes you. That's my challenge for you today. Okay. All right, my friends. So I hope you got a little bit out of this episode. That's going to be a wrap for this one. As always, I appreciate you all joining. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Mr. Jim Lynch. Hopefully, we'll have him back on the podcast someday soon. I have a couple other hosts coming up here, so be sure to stay in touch with the latest episodes as they drop. Got a couple interviews coming up next week, so those should be fun. And yeah, that's about all I got for you guys today. Dan Hafner signing off. Make it a great rest of your day. Hey, have you ever thought about joining a virtual run challenge? As COVID-19 continues to upend our lives and change our life routines, finding fresh ways to challenge yourself physically can be difficult. I know I'm having trouble with that. It can also be pretty hard to connect with others and find accountability partners for the purpose of fitness as well. That's why we created Runwage Virtual Challenges. Runwage Challenges are a new and exciting way to stay physically active and maintain social distancing. Every challenge takes place 100% online, and you can compete against and engage with runners from all over the world. Best of all, they are the only virtual challenges out there which actually reward participants with real cash. That means you have no excuse for staying inactive during this pandemic. So if you've been looking for a fresh and interesting way to stay active and get your miles in, go to runwageapp.com/virtual challenges to join me and the diverse community of runners already competing. That's runwageapp.com/virtual challenges. Can't wait to see you there.